Welcome back to our reoccurring series where we spotlight a different member of the AAC community every month. Today, we're honored to have Azeema Batchelor join us as our September feature. Azeema, thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to share some of your perspectives with us. I'm going to jump straight into it with our first question here. How did you first get involved in the AAC, and why is the AAC important to you?
The AAC has become so important to me over the years because it really is a community that didn't exist when I was a student at Fordham. And I love the fact that we have built this amazing alumni community, but most importantly, I love that it now exists something that the students see is already out there and created. I love creating a legacy of something that students can think about as part of their future. For us, it was a lot of looking back, but for students now, it's actually part of their future.
You mentioned community building, and I have a feeling that may tie into the answer to my next question here, which is, how has your continued involvement with the AAC served to benefit you both personally and professionally?
I think this is a great question. I really went into being part of the AAC to serve, very much in Fordham's motto, right? In the service of others. But I have noticed over the course of a decade plus that there have been some benefits for me as well. Personally, I've made some new friends. It's been amazing. I have a whole group of people, a couple of people from my class that I didn't know as well that I got to know better, a number of people from other class years. It also gave me an insight into the workings of the Fordham board, and I am now part of the Fordham Law Alumni Board, and that has been a tremendous professional experience for me, especially as someone who still works in large firms but doesn't practice. And personally, I think also there is the feeling of community that I didn't have as strongly when I was in law school. So it has just been an amazing thing to go in thinking that I was going to be providing service to others and actually feel like it has given me so much of a benefit.
That's so great to hear. That's, of course, what we strive for with the AAC. What's one word that comes to mind when you think of Fordham Law and the AAC?
The one word for me is going to be community, hands down. I had some great community when I was in law school. I had different networks, based on my first year section, the classes that I took, all of those things. But the AAC gave me an entirely new community that I didn't have when I was in law school, and I really appreciate that. I think that the AAC has brought me into the fold with a lot of folks that share similar career journeys, similar challenges, and it really is a space to share those experiences with people who have been there.
Speaking of career journeys, that brings us to our next question. Please give us a window into your career path. What elements of your career have you enjoyed most, and what lessons have you learned over the course of your journey?
My career path is definitely one that most people would say is non-traditional. So I left law school thinking, like everyone else, that I was going to practice law. I was very proud to take the New York State Bar and pass it on my first try. And I was a real estate associate in 2008. So that did not end very well for me. The firm that I had worked for no longer exists. It actually ceased to exist as things unfolded during the recession. And I had to figure out what my move was going to be. I did not think I was going to be making a career pivot, but I was really lucky in that when I was practicing at the last firm I was at, the senior associate that I work with, she ended up landing in a non-practicing role. And she is a Fordham grad, a few years ahead of me, was looking out for me. And when she saw that there was an open role at her firm in the marketing and business development team, she reached out to me and said, "Hey, didn't you major in marketing and communications? Would you ever want to consider this?" And I had no idea what the world of law firm marketing was like. I vaguely remember meeting the chief marketing officer of the firm I'd worked at a couple times, and that's about it. But I said, sure, I need a job, let's do it. So that was 17 years ago. I have had successively senior roles in different firms over the last 17 years, and I have loved it. So one thing I think that everyone should think about is how you can stay curious and flexible. So for me, that's something that I've enjoyed the most about my career the last 17 years. I love how strategic the work I do is. It's very much about the business of law versus the practice of law. I've learned so much about how law firms operate and what makes them profitable and how to drive new business and how to work within the confines of law firm structures, right? We're not linear necessarily. There's a lot of people who have a lot of opinions on how things should be. And so for me, so many of the skills that I learned at Fordham are still used today. I think that I am just looking at using my skills in a different way. And of course, you can't help sell something if you don't understand it. So for me right now, that JD has never been a liability. It's always been an asset because I have helped firms grow in areas that I never practiced in. I only practiced for 4 years. So, at this point, I'm always just learning about new areas of the law. And the biggest lesson that I've learned is that by staying curious, I'm always open to learning new things, especially about how things are going to change. For example, right now, everyone's talking about AI. And by being flexible and realizing, hey, maybe I have value and I could still work in big law, but I'm not meant to practice anymore. I have enjoyed every minute of it. I think that at the time it was very scary. I think beginnings and changes can be scary, but if you stay true to what your strengths are and you stay curious and flexible and find ways to get things done, you could really end up doing something that you ultimately love. And again, just knowing some people at Fordham sometimes helps in ways that you don't realize.
Yeah, knowing fun people always helps. Speaking of fun, unfortunately we have to end the fun here, and I'm going to close with this last question. What advice would you give to young attorneys of color as they navigate their careers, and how can they maintain a sense of community and connectivity with other attorneys of color?
I think the biggest piece of advice that I would give to young attorneys of color as they navigate careers is to find your tribe. I think that we get so bogged down in the grind of school. Of course, everyone at Fordham is extremely bright and driven and focused on success, but having that group of people that you can go to, sort of your personal board of advisors, is so important. And when you ask how can you maintain a sense of community and connectivity, I think it shows up in different ways. So earlier in my career, when I was still in New York, I was fairly active with the South Asian Bar Association of New York. I maintain a membership down here with SABA DC, and I try to attend events when I can. I definitely try to attend as many Fordham events, both in New York and in DC. And I try to make sure that even if it's the smallest little outreach, a comment on someone's LinkedIn post or checking in with someone via email or text message, that I just maintain those touch points with people, because it's sort of amazing how quickly 21 years go. I can't believe sometimes I just think about my group of close friends from law school and I can't believe it's been that long. So really, to me, it's about small gestures along the way and small movements. So, it doesn't have to be that you get together with everyone constantly in person. Nowadays, we have so many better ways to keep in touch. So, seeing how well the ACC does with connecting its members has been amazing. And I know, as one of the few members that's not based in New York, I still feel connected to the community. And a lot of that has been on me. So don't wait for things to come to you. Make sure that you go out there and reach out. I can even just give you the example of this interview. I was so happy to be contacted, and most importantly, because I wanted to get to know the next generation of leaders. I know the people who were above me. I know the founders, but that's not what is going to take us to the next level, right? So making sure that you're thinking about networking as a whole is also really important. I really try to help get back where I can, because I feel like, again, it's something that, benefits me as well. I love mentoring junior colleagues here in my team, and they teach me something new every day, like slang or something I may not know. I think it's most important for folks to realize that you can do things in bite-sized chunks. One of my favorite phrases, and I'll leave you with this, is that a journey of 1,000 miles starts with a single step. So just whatever it is, take that first step and do it. Thank you so much for having me, Noah.